Warning. Everything on this channel and video is for educational purposes only. All content is intended for people 21 years of age and older. All acts are performed by professionals and all people shown are 21 years of age and older. All acts are performed under the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. Do not attempt to recreate or reenact anything you see in this channel. Alright, so I've been working on a lot of different genetic videos over the past couple years, and in that time I've been working on my own line of genetics with the boys from the Stash and Swank Genetics. While doing this, I'm noticing that the trend of high THC seems to still be the thing. I don't know why. I have no idea why this is the case, but that's just the reality. Now, believe it or not, there has been some studies done to debunk THC being an indicator of quality, and maybe that might debunk your butt actually being as good as you think it is. Let's give a quick shout out to the sponsors who help make this show happen and help make all this content stay free.
I appreciate you.
AC Infinity, one of the leaders in the game when it comes to grow equipment. Whether it be lighting, ventilation, or a whole entire grow kit, AC Infinity's got your back. Use discount code CLtv at checkout at acinfinity.com or CLTVAC10 on Amazon. And also Seedsman. If you're looking for some dank genetics, Seedsman's got your back. Use discount code CLtv at checkout to save on your order. So if you're new here, my name is Rob and we talk all things herb. Today in particular, we're going to be talking about why THC does not equal quality. What is the highest THC that you've come across? Drop below in the comment section. In general, high THC seems to be a trend. Everywhere you go, people think that the highest of THC is the most potent of bud. This isn't everybody, of course. When you're looking at the majority of people or the masses or the asses, oftentimes they will get onto a trend that's been pumped into society or pumped into the culture. And in this case, THC is the logical fallacy that people seem to think determines the quality. Similar with the alcohol percentage, I guess it's somewhat of an indicator of the strength. But in this case, THC is just a chemical compound that is a part of the plant. This is a specific cannabinoid. Now, believe it or not, there's a lot of other cannabinoids to focus on here. Some of those would be flavonoids, terpenes, THC, CBD, CBC, CBG, CBN, and CBDV, THCV, and even delta-8 THC. Now, when you look at all of these different cannabinoids, these are factors that you never see on the packaging for seeds, and you also don't see them on products when you go into retail. Now, I don't know why this is, and I don't know who decided that THC was the factor to potency, but there's been some studies that say otherwise. Now, there's a study done to show the inconsistent correlation between THC levels and user experience done at the University of Colorado Boulder, which investigated the effects of cannabis potency on THC levels in the body and user experience. Now, in this study, there was 121 people, all of which were regular consumers. They were divided into two groups, one using high potency concentrates and one using flower with lower THC levels. The flower group's THC was between 16 to 24%, as where the concentrate group was 70 to 90%. They were instructed to use the products as they typically would, and this was ensured that the studies observed natural consumption patterns. Now, the blood THC levels were measured immediately after consumption. Participants completed self-reported questionnaires on their levels of intoxication, cognitive impairment, and mood. Researchers also evaluated balance and memory to assess physical and cognitive impairment. Now, as expected, the blood THC levels in the concentrate group were significantly higher than the flower group. However, the self-reported intoxication or impairment levels were about the same on both groups. Now, this of course could be chalked up to some being heavier users, but the way that this group was split up, it put these regular everyday users into two categories that were their regular consumption patterns. Now, in a sense, of course, your tolerance can increase, which then can make it so your feeling isn't necessarily as out of the norm. You could potentially be used to the effect, and that doesn't make you feel any higher or less high. However, the study suggested that once the THC binds to the receptors of the brain, there may be a saturation effect, meaning higher THC concentrates beyond a certain point don't result in a proportionately greater intoxication or impairment. Now, this challenges the assumption that THC alone is an indicator of potency. A big factor, of course, is individual tolerance. But another factor is these other cannabinoids. Now, depending on each individual's endocannabinoid system, their receptors may just not grab on the same as others. And what affects you may affect others in a different way. So looking at a 30% THC may not necessarily get you any more of an effect than a 20% THC. It just depends on the other compounds that are in the flower or in the concentrate itself. Now again, who created this misconception?
Rich old guys.
Well, I believe this is people in the commercial grow space. Now, I've worked in the commercial grow space in the past, and a lot of them do follow a logical fallacy based on consultation from other brands from, let's say, California, Colorado, Michigan, any other place that's had a legal market for long enough to have some data to share to be valued as a consultant. Now, market demand is one factor. The consumers believe that higher THC is going to get them higher. And I can't count how many times I've been inside dispos that I did consultation for or that I was the director at, and I saw people walk in and ask for high THC flower, or looking online at different breeders and people emphasizing high THC flower. Now, this again is a sales point and a marketing tactic in my opinion, and I really feel like it perpetuates that logical fallacy that THC is our contributing factor to potency. And again, it may be one factor, but not all factors. Now, higher THC also leads to higher margins for a lot of these brands. If you have a higher THC product, it doesn't cost you any more to produce than the lower THC product. However, you can charge more for it. So it immediately is going to push a vendor into want to get a higher THC product. This also is a selling point for retailers. Having higher THC oftentimes will put you at a higher shelf. If the bud looks pretty or the concentrate looks pretty, it's going to sit up there. And I really feel that that is a problem as well. When the THC levels are high and it has a look that's pretty and the price point is too high, well, over time it will degrade and it's going to sit on the shelf. And if you're in retail, oftentimes that light and the oxygen exposed to it is just going to degrade it over time and make it low quality. And if you're a breeder and you have a bunch of seeds and your focus is just high THC, you may be losing other compounds that others may want more, like myself. Flavonoids and terpenes. Now, in a crowded market, it does make sense to have something to make you maybe stand out in the pack, and higher THC is oftentimes what people will use as this indicator, but it's not an indicator that's helping any of us as consumers or growers. It's making this fallacy pushed even further, and for some reason people are eating it up like a Shabbat dinner, and I just don't understand why, especially if you've consumed high THC versus a lower grade THC and you didn't notice a huge difference in the effect. Nearly any store I've gone to from here to California, rarely do you see terpenes or flavonoids on the packaging. Sometimes, but not often. It's either THC or CBD. That's just the focus. Now, oftentimes this leads to us having the same bud, the bland, basic, just nothing bud, or the candy flavored nothing bud with high THC that everyone keeps pushing around because it's all crossed with runts over and over and over, or gelato over and over and over, or cookies over and over and over. The same thing back to back to back to try to compete in a market that's being basically tailored to people who don't know what the hell they're doing. And unfortunately, the people who are controlling majority of this market aren't consumers, so they really don't know what the hell they're doing. Focusing on high THC, I really feel, is just a horrible thing for this community, and I do think it's what's going to keep us further back, because a lot of brands are going to keep putting out bullshit genetics or different extraction methods that will just get you higher THC with less quality. And I'm to the point now where pretty bud with high THC just pisses me off. When I see it, I'm like mad, and I want to educate the bud tender, or I want to educate the breeder, which sounds pompous, I know, but they're putting these products out and they may be doing it knowingly, but some of them unknowingly are putting out products that are just pushing this logical fallacy, which again, we need an indicator for quality. I understand some people can't just smell and look at the bud and check it out. Depending on where you're at and what you're doing, I get it. But for those of us who can, there's so much more to the plant, and you appreciate it so much more when you discover that. I beg of you, get away from just looking at THC. Growers who are looking for that secret sauce usually are just missing something from their garden. And to help with that, we bring you the Stash Blend Premium Plant Additive. Stash Blend brings beneficial bacteria, silicon, seaweed, humic acid, and has enough macronutrition to help lower the dosages of your base feed too. Unleash your plant's true potential with Stash Blend Premium Plant Additive. Available at Growers House.